All right, Scott, so put me in your shoes. I might be portraying this picture a little bit inaccurately, so correct me if I'm wrong here. But your producer walks in, it's about around 2010, and they say, Scott, we want you to host this new show that we're doing for NFL Network called NFL Redzone. What was your first reaction when they asked you that?
Yeah, it was 2009. So this is our 12th season now. So 11 years ago, 2009. And when I was offered the hosting role, I was elated because I really did think this channel could be a galactic success. I really did. And not because I was going to be hosting it, but because when we described the concept, 7 hours, commercial free, every touchdown from every game. You're not watching one game, you're watching all of them simultaneously. I really felt like if I did my job well, and if the technical crew, if we did our job well and got people bouncing around, this is going to change the way people watch football. Combine that with the fact that the NFL is the most popular sport in the country. It was then, it is now, and it looks like it still will be for years to come. I figured this was going to be a huge hit. So when they named me the host, I was like, wow, this could be massive for my career.
What's running through your mind in the moments before a show starts? You know, whether you're at the desk looking through your notes one last time, or you're in the makeup room getting your finishing touches on. What's running through your head right before you guys go live?
Yeah, I usually stop, have like a quiet second. There's a long hallway. It's outdoors, so it's more like an alleyway in between where the makeup room is and where the NFL Redzone studio is. So I go into the makeup room. We have Denise Gungermeser, one of our fantastic, she is our fantastic makeup artist. Although they're not allowed to touch me these days. I have to do it myself. She stands 6 feet away from me and like goes, okay, pick up that brush, put that one on here, do this because of social distancing for the pandemic. But I get my makeup done and then I walk out and I go down this alley. And that is my version of when the players come out of the tunnel onto the field on NFL Sunday. It's the last moment I have of peace and quiet. I just walk. I usually just kind of take inventory and I usually say a prayer. I usually just ask God. I'm like, Lord, just help me to be at my best today and help me to do my job for our audience as best as I possibly can. And I just pray for, a great day ahead, just a fun day. We only get 17 of these each and every year. And each one of them is always unique and dramatic and exciting, and you don't know where it's going to come from or who's going to do it or how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. So that last moment right before the show, I've done all my prep work, I feel confident, I feel excited about starting the show, is just a little quiet time to say, hey, let's do this, let's get it on. There's millions of people waiting.
Just how many viewers are you guys getting a week right now?
So the NFL actually does not publicize how many viewers watch NFL Redzone. It's in the millions, I can tell you that millions of people enjoy it. But because there's no commercials, there are no traditional Nielsen ratings like you would have for whatever your favorite sitcom is or a network show on TV. But yeah, it's millions of people. So you're in good company if you're watching NFL Redzone.
So it's grown a ton, I'm assuming, from when you guys first premiered. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. There was word of mouth that we were going to do it. Some people dabbled in like, let me check this out. But I think it's like great pizza. If you've had one great slice of pizza, that's where you're going to go get your pizza. If it's, once you have it. And I think once you try NFL Redzone, you're not going to want anything else.
I think part of the reason that is blowing up as much as it has, honestly, is because of you, Scott. You're dripping with passion. Like every time I tune in, I can hear just the enthusiasm and just, love for the game in your voice. It's really infectious. And I know a lot of viewers I've read, just like when they listen to you, it's kind of like watching their best friend having their best friend on the couch right next to them, watching the game like that. And I know that you grew up in Detroit, so kind of growing up in the 80s and 90s during, say, like Barry Sanders era, a little bit before Al Baker and Billy Sims and, also the Bad Boy Pistons. How much do you think growing up in that city had the impact on the love that you have right now for the game?
That's a great question. I was blessed to grow up in one of the great sports cities in the country. We had Detroit is blue collar and love a winner, and we were able to see. I saw the Detroit Tigers win a World Series in 1984. I saw the back-to-back Bad Boys Pistons in 89 and 90, and 89, 90, 91, I guess, go back-to-back with their championships. The Lions never won anything all that big, but we always used to go to the Silverdome, the old stadium, the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, and watch the Lions. Got to see a Hall of Fame player like Barry Sanders, and before him, as you mentioned, Billy Sims, a fantastic player who may have been a Hall of Famer if he could have stayed healthy, but his legs gave out, unfortunately, on him. The Red Wings won, the Stanley Cup in my time there, and so to be able to be in a sports town that lives and breathes sports and lives and dies by their championships, it helped build that enthusiasm that you talked about. Yeah. That everyone has things that they love in their life, and I don't care what your religion is or your worldview or your idea of what life is all about. Almost everybody agrees. We only get so many heartbeats on this planet, and nobody knows how many heartbeats they get, right? We could have 5 more left. We could have 5 million more. We don't know. But everybody loves something that makes that heartbeat fast. Everybody loves something. I don't care what it is. And the drama of an NFL Sunday and the drama that hopefully we demonstrate and communicate on NFL Redzone seems to make tons and tons, millions of sports fans, millions of football fans come and join us every Sunday. And that's a thrill. And I take it very seriously to be the host of it and to always give that passion and energy on air.
How much does a day when you're working, say in the off season, differ from what you're doing during a regular season and prepping for an episode of Redzone?
Oh yeah, there is no comparison. I mean, it's like being a football player. They lift weights, they run sprints, they might go through their plays in the off season, but there's nothing compared to when you're in season, right? We get 17 of these. And today I'm speaking to you. I don't know when people are going to watch this, but it's a Friday when you and I are speaking. Right over here, I'm talking to you on one of my computers. My other computer is sitting right over here, and I've got it opened up with about 8 different windows opened up with all my stats and facts and figures, and I'm going to be reading websites and newspapers online to find out all the latest injury news. I've got my spreadsheets that I'm going to be putting together for quarterbacks, kickers, total offense, total defense, turnovers, touchdowns, fantasy stats, you name it. I've got 5 televisions on over here on my media wall, keeping track of everything that's going on in the sports world right now. So the preparation is intense. Building up. As I speak to you right now, I've got less than 48 hours before I'm on the air. And there's no script for NFL Redzone. It's all got to be, saturated in my mind. And that's what I do in the days leading up to the show. So it's crazy preparation, but it's fun.
Do you also host NFL Network during the regular season, or are you exclusively doing Redzone?
So I'm doing Redzone here in 2020. I have hosted shows in the past. I've been an employee of NFL media for 15, 16 years, something like that. And I've hosted a number of different shows, but NFL Redzone during the regular season, that is my number one main ththing.
In the past, you've covered the Flyers as like a intermission reporter. You went down to Tampa Bay, you covered the Bucks, but you've covered other sports in the past. How in tune are you now with like Major League Baseball, the NBA, NHL, now that you're covering NFL news exclusively?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because I'm not just a football fan. Football is my favorite sport, but I'm not just a football fan. I love competition. I love athletic drama, and of course, the NFL doesn't have a monopoly on that. I think the NFL is the most dramatic sport, but you can find that in March Madness or the Stanley Cup playoffs or the World Series. All the great competitions that we have. The answer to your question specifically is not very in tune. If I had to go on and host Sports Center, let's say tonight, right? I would be like, who is this guy? Who's that guy? I mean, I know all the big players, right? But I'm not studying it the way that I study the NFL. In fact, I sit and watch Sports Center on ESPN. Scott Van Pelt is a friend of mine and does an amazing job on it. And I'll think sometimes, man, I'm glad I didn't have to know the third line of the third line of the Chicago Blackhawks, forward and center and forward and whatnot, the wings and the forward, because I don't keep track of it professionally the way I would if I was hosting an all sports television channel. So I can sit back and be a fan and just watch and enjoy. And I like that.
How difficult has it been to get everything going right now with the pandemic going on? Because I know production meetings are probably looking drastically different. And as you know, you talked about, you have to do your own makeup and stuff now. What's that looking like for you guys this season?
Yeah, we've made all sorts of changes because of COVID-19. Our meetings are now Zoom meetings. We used to meet sitting around a big conference table to talk about all the matchups. That's our production meeting that we have on Sunday mornings before the show begins, about 2 hours before the show. We all get together as a staff, and now we do that on Zoom, and everyone's looking at all the different boxes of their colleagues. I mentioned makeup. I have to do my own makeup now. I can't have a makeup artist, getting that close. We have taken our control room, so where the producer, director, technical director, associate director, all the other folks sit, that room traditionally is people sitting almost elbow to elbow and being packed in because it's quick communication, nonverbal communication, and everybody's got to have an information flow in that control room. Well, social distancing has prevented that. So they've spaced us out. We are now in multiple control rooms around the NFL media campus. And we are all getting tested for COVID every week. We're getting tested. And thankfully, no one on the NFL Redzone staff has tested positive yet. And we've gotten through this far of the season. Hopefully we can finish strong in the final month.
Congratulations on the 200th episode, by the way. I mean, I've been watching you just for years now, since you had glasses, and you still look exactly the same as you did back then, right when you started.
But Josh, I am older. I still have glasses. They're just not the glasses I used to wear on TV, because the glasses I used to wear on TV were for long vision. These are old man reading glasses right now. So I still got them, but I just don't wear them on TV anymore.
I couldn't tell. You haven't aged a day to me.
Well, thanks, bud.
So looking back, what do you think has been the greatest moment of your career so far?
Woo, I got to name just one because, man, you're talking to a blessed individual. I can
give you a top three.
Okay. Probably being named NFL Redzone host and going through that first season. The first season when we really had to figure out, how are we going to do this? How will it be received? Once we got through that first season, we knew it was a hit. In fact, Sports Illustrated named us one of the top 10 inventions of the decade, and we had only been around for 1 year. That was at the end of 2009, our first season of NFL Redzone. Sports Illustrated did an end of the decade edition, and they said, here are the top 10 inventions of the last decade for sports media and whatnot. And they had NFL Redzone on there, and we had only been around for 1 year. So I would say being named the host and going through that first season. I would say hosting the Super Bowl. One thing I get to do that fans at home probably don't see is the NFL has selected me to host the Super Bowl, meaning if you are in the stadium on Super Bowl Sunday, one of the privileged 70,000, 80,000, whatever stadium we're in that year, if you're in there with a ticket, we do a special television show that is shown on the big screen inside of the stadium and all the concourse TVs and all of that. And I host that show. And that's a big deal because there are a lot of big time people that obviously the Super Bowl is the hardest ticket in sports to get. And the people who are in there, it's like, it's a fever pitch to win a championship. And then there are a lot of, celebrities and business folks and whatnot. And I'm the one who gets to welcome them to the Super Bowl and kind of take them through the game as everyone else is watching commercials at home on their television. In the stadium, we do all sorts of things to keep people entertained and informed with what's going on. So that's a huge honor as well. That would be the top two. A third one, maybe just a fun one. At the Super Bowl one year, one of my jobs during the week for media day, so 6 days before the Super Bowl actually gets played, I was the guy who got to introduce the team captains for the two teams. And I did that for several years. And I think this year was the Patriots Falcons Super Bowl. And so I'm introducing the Falcons captains, Matt Ryan and so-and-so and so-and-so, and the Patriots captains and Tom Brady and da-da-da-da-da. So we did this moment where they shook hands on stage. Again, this is 6 days before the game, and they had the Lombardi trophy right there and everything. And once we were done with that, the lights went dim on the stage that we were on, and the players just walked off and they had to do their interviews and everything. So the lights go dim and we walk off the stage, and we're walking off. All of a sudden I get a tap on my shoulder. I turn around and it's Tom Brady. And I go, and I had met Tom before, we weren't like friends or anything, but we had met each other. I'm like, Tom, hey. He's like, Scott, I just want to tell you, you do an awesome job on Red Zone. And I remember thinking, wow. Now I've dealt with every famous athlete and celebrities and stuff like that, and I don't get starstruck, but I did think it was pretty cool that the GOAT watches NFL Red Zone. And I remember thinking, well, when the heck do you watch? And that was the year he had been suspended for the first 4 games of the season for the old Deflategate saga and whatnot. So I thought, oh, he spent his first month watching NFL Red Zone. I didn't say that out loud to him, of course, but he also tells me that he'll watch, like if they're playing on Monday Night Football, he'll likes to watch Red Zone, and I'm very flattered by that. Tom is an amazing guy who is obviously the greatest quarterback of all time, maybe the greatest football player of all time, but also a very down-to-earth guy. If anyone ever's in a room with him, he just makes you feel like you're just chatting with a guy who loves his craft, loves his family, and loves football just like you do. So that was pretty cool when he told me that he loves NFL Red Zone.